Introducing MagicBit, an easy IoT platform for everyone. With MagicBit, you can develop your first IoT project in less than 10 minutes. MagicBit may look small, but it's a powerful tiny computer powered by ESP32, packed with onboard features. If you need any additional sensors, you can simply plug and play.
Good evening to everyone who joined on time. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being curious about what is going to be shared by wonderful presenter Migara about the journey that MagicBit took during I think it's about a month now, and the journey is still going on. So before I hand it over to Migara, just a short introduction of who he is. Migara Amitodana. Apparently, I got to know that he comes from a generation of kings. He is the co-founder of MagicBit and is from the University of Moratuwa. He's done a degree in electronics and telecommunications. A chartered engineer by profession, over having 8 years of experience in the ICT industry, took on the leap of being an entrepreneur, a co-founder, and explored this journey by taking on the brand of MagicBit, which will take us to the world. So MagicBit, as you know, is an award-winning company. It's an EdTech solution, and which was inception in 2019, and has been recognized through many awards in terms of its education and community service capabilities. It's a product which is also used as a training solution, and the team, as you know, which we're going to talk about, recently launched its global crowdfunding campaign, which I presume might be the first that was done by a Sri Lankan company, by a Sri Lankan tech product. So we're all here to learn how this journey took place. How the agenda will go today will be around 30-35 minutes of presentation that Migara will conduct, and then we will open up for Q&A. So it's an Ask Me Anything session. That's what AMA is, by the way. It's not AMA. And you can ask anything that you want. And sorry if anyone was expecting Ama, but he's not here, only Migara. You can ask him any question that you want. And two preferred methods, you can ask on the chat, which I will take on and post to him. Otherwise, if you want to directly ask him and put him on the spot, you can raise your hand and I'll then call your name, then you can ask on voice. So without ruining this session by talking too long, handing over to Migara to start the more interesting topic and your journey. Over to you, Migara.
Thank you, Sachindra, and thank you, Nevindri and the ICTA team, especially for organizing this session. And I should thank everyone for joining for this session as well. Hi, everyone. My name is Migara. So today I'm going to talk about MagicBit and our journey for the global crowdfunding campaign. And I hope many contacted me as well as our ICTA team to know about crowdfunding, about Kickstarter, how it works and everything. So we thought of doing a session that would help everyone. And that is in fact one of the helps that we were looking for when we were planning this sort of a campaign earlier, and we couldn't find that sort of material in Sri Lanka. So we think that this will be really helpful for everyone who joined today with the interest of crowdfunding. So hi everyone, my name is Migara and I'm one of the co-founders of MagicBit. And before I go through the crowdfunding process and everything, I thought of giving you a brief idea about what MagicBit is. And then you can map the idea why the reason that we went for crowdfunding campaign. So with MagicBit, what we are trying to address is the global trend of technical revolution, where we all know that the STEM education, programming, innovation, creativity, these areas are booming up, especially among the children, among the students. And when we think about smart innovations, we came to know and we have observed that the perceived things about technical innovations is it's difficult, complex, and costly. So we thought of developing a solution first for this one about 2 years back in 2019. And we thought that ideally it should be fast to learn, easy to use and cost effective. Because honestly, now I'm coming from an engineering background, but what we thought was even a non-tech person should be able to develop stuff like this, because in the near future, that this technology like electronics, robotics, IoT, all these things are much needed for people like farmers or maybe doctors or maybe musicians rather than just engineers or people from a tech background. So that is why we thought of making it very easy and fast to learn for anyone. And that's how we came up with the idea of MagicBit. And uh, it simply gives the facility where even a 10-year-old can develop an Internet of Things project like this plant monitoring system in just 10 minutes. Basically, it's a learning tool for all these areas: IoT, programming, robotics, electronics. So I would say it's a tiny computer, quite small, like about this size. I hope you can see it. So apart from the hardware, we created an integrated innovation environment with the software, mobile app, and everything. And this is where the part about crowdfunding came up. Now, when we are developing MagicBit, we develop the hardware, software, mobile app, and the content and sort of a product to promote innovation and taking this knowledge to the society. We thought that we should develop a community, and our community should collaborate with each other, and we should reach to other regions as well. In the competing many competitions locally and internationally, we won about I think about 7 to 8 local awards and few international awards. So during that time, one of the feedbacks we received was, if you want to develop a community, go to the global stage. So that is what our team believed, that we need to take this to the world. And that is where we came to the Spiralation program as well. When we were trying to grow as a startup and go to the international stage, we got an opportunity to get along with Spiralation program in 2020. And I think that was one of the wonderful experiences we had with ICTA. And we received knowledge and, of course, much needed financial support for our project, as well as the network in terms of the startup founders and the industry leaders and opinion leaders in the community. So with those things we received, we were able to develop our product and our solutions to in par with the international standard, and we thought of reaching out to the international community. And when we think about going to the international market, of course, for any product or a startup, there are several methods. Now, I have mentioned a few, but there are many opportunities or avenues that we can go to the international market. For example, do general marketing, or maybe developing B2B partnerships, or go B2B2C type of model. Do a licensing model where our products can be, the license of our product can be sold, or maybe going for a joint venture with a party in another country. So those are some of the opportunities that were available. Now, apart from all these opportunities, now when you think as a startup, one of the challenges that we had was all these barriers of financial barriers, that we didn't have any much money to invest for a big marketing campaign. On the other hand, we had a contradiction that even though we spend money, whether we will be really able to develop a good community around our product or the service, or a good follower base. So that is where we came up with the idea of crowdfunding. Now, because personally as creators, and we have followed these crowdfunding platforms for some time, and we were quite fascinated with some of the projects there, which I'm going to show you during the presentation. And so we went crowdfunding mainly because we thought of developing a community, especially a good follower base. And when it comes to our product, it's about developing, innovating new things. So people who have interest in technology and who loves to test out new products, that sort of interest groups are there in these crowdfunding platforms. That is one thing we identified. On the other hand, it has a very niche audience. Now, when we take the global population about 7 billion. Crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter have a audience about 20 million. But if we consider it as a single platform, that's a lot, because it's quite hard to find a single platform which has around 20 million followers or dedicated fans. Basically, even though Facebook has so many users, it's quite hard to find a very niche audience for a particular product. But in platforms like this, we were able to find that sort of interest groups and a niche audience. And of course, it's a pre-ordering system. Now, basically, there are different models that I'm going to discuss. But when we think about concepts like reward-based crowdfunding, we don't have to have the inventory or the devices first before we are sending it to our customers. So basically, it works like a pre-ordering system. So we have good prototypes and we can produce this at a mass scale. We can say to everyone, hey, we have a nice idea like this. It's quite innovative, but we need your support to develop this product to commercial stage, and you can pre-order it right now. If you pre-order, I'll give it at a very discounted rate. So that's the idea of crowdfunding, and that's why we went there. So if we talk about what is crowdfunding and how does it work? So basically, crowdfunding is all about raising small amounts of money from a large number of people. So it's simple as that. So it could be for different purposes. I think in Sri Lanka also we are quite familiar for this concept, because in Sri Lanka we are quite used to all these charity programs where we collect small amounts from people and raise huge amounts. So it's the same concept, but using online platforms. There are different types. Now, when we launch this Kickstarter campaign, also many people in Sri Lanka and many of our friends and family, they contacted us asking whether when I put money for this one, do I get an equity in this product or your startup? Now, that's because there's a concept called equity-based crowdfunding as well, where if I want to develop a business, if I want a capital of 10 million or 20 million, I can run a crowdfunding campaign for that as well. So where I will give a small portion of my company or equity to everyone. So it's another concept, but the concept that we practice, or the most popular concept right now, is reward-based crowdfunding, where if I have a good product or a service, I can publish it and ask everyone to pre-purchase the product. So it's simple as that. And we can do donation-based as well for charity. Most of the equity-based and reward-based crowdfunding platforms don't allow to collect money for charities or donations. So basically, it's not for non-profit projects. But there are separate platforms for non-profit projects and donation-based crowdfunding. And also there's debt-based crowdfunding as well, where if you want some money, you can get from certain platforms on crowdfunding basis, and there's royalty based model as well. So usually, how does it work? Let's say I have a product or a business idea, and I choose to have crowdfunding as the method of raising funds for my product or startup, and I submit it to a certain platform or a crowdfunding platform. They screen our idea and see whether it fits into their criteria. Then when they approve, we can run the campaign. So we can, as in number 4, we can define our goal and our objectives of the campaign. And number 5, we can share it with our friend among our network. We can even do social media marketing or digital marketing through multiple platforms. And then supporters can pledge or back or support our project. When they support with money, we call it they are backing our project. When the campaign closes, we receive the funds and the platform subtract its fee. Usually every platform has a platform fee when they process the campaigns, and that is their business model as well. So what we have to do is complete the campaign goals and provide the deliverables to all our backers. So that is how it works. Usually, this is a concept of bringing new ideas to life. So when we talk about reward-based crowdfunding, so basically, we have to provide very exclusive rewards, and the product should not be available in the market. So let's say you have a very good product from Sri Lanka like Ceylon tea, and let's say from Dilma or someone, you cannot take a product existing in the market and do a crowdfunding campaign to have your own business model. What you can do is you can use an existing product or some elements of an existing product, but there should be a significant value addition and certain innovativeness to your product. So it should be a new product, and also it should not be available in the market by any means during the time of your crowdfunding campaign. In all of the crowdfunding platforms in the international level, they are very strict about this. In case they find out that we have made it available even secretly somewhere else, they will immediately suspend our campaign and they will hold all the funds with them, and our backers will get their money back, and the money we spend for advertising and all will be a waste. So that's that they are very strict about it. So it should not be available. That is why they are expecting us to give a very exclusive offer as well. So the idea is when a person comes to this crowdfunding platform, the backer or the supporter should be amazed with the product. So it should be really innovative, and it should not be available anywhere. So this is the only place where the supporter or the person interested can get this particular product. So that is how they draw traffic as well. So people who are into this kind of gadgets, new innovative products, they usually revert to these sites. And I must say, it's not about tech as well. If you go to sites like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, it's not about technology and product designing and all the techie things. Most of the projects right now are into design, computer games, card games, board games, or maybe even short films, maybe song albums. There are very popular artists who have done certain crowdfunding campaigns which have performed in $1 billion. Yeah, they raise funds for their new album. So when they want to release a new album, they raise funds through crowdfunding. So they will eventually get the reach for their album, as well as the funds they need to produce it as well. On the other hand, there are film producers who have done films using it, some award-winning movies. So it works like that. So it's not only for tech, it's for films, arts, or any kind of project which is innovative and new to the world. So it works, reward-based crowdfunding works basically as a pre-ordering system. So it's really helpful for the creator because as creators, sometimes you don't have money to have inventory and develop stuff first and then do marketing and all that. So that is why Kickstarter or the crowdfunding concept relies on networking, sharing it with people, and giving the product to the early adopters at a discounted rate. So that's the idea. But let's not get deceived by this idea of crowdfunding, because although crowdfunding may look very lucrative to anyone, only now, according to Kickstarter, only 38% of their projects get successful. So the success rate is pretty low. Basically, if you take any crowdfunding platform, the success rate is below 40%, which means about 60% of the campaigns fail during their campaign period. So what happens is the campaigns do not manage to reach the target they intend to go. So it is not realized. What happens is they don't get anything, they don't get the funds, or they will get the opportunity to produce that product or do their project. So what happens is that could happen due to multiple reasons, mainly because the backers or the people in these platforms don't believe in that project, or maybe the project or the product or the service is not that much attractive, or maybe it's already something similar to available in the market, or maybe the pricing is wrong, or maybe the timing is wrong. Let's say we are launching a very brand new exclusive product during the Christmas time of the year. Nobody in the West is going to buy that because they are pretty busy with their celebrations and their Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all these other sales and everything. So that is why even we launched our campaign in the month of July, because initially we planned to launch it in the month of June, because in the mid of the month of June is supposed to be the best month to launch a Kickstarter campaign. It's pretty crowded as well because everybody is launching their campaigns on June or July, and this period is pretty good. And when we are launching the campaign also, we launch the campaign at on Tuesday, which is at not the beginning of the week, also not the end of the week. And also when we launch the campaign, we launch it at 7 p.m. in Sri Lankan time, which is 9 a.m. in the US. So basically, we wanted everyone to see the campaign when they first check out in the new projects in the platform. So that is all about timing, about having a good product and giving the competitive edge and everything. So that all that actually supports for the success factor. So the advantage of doing a crowdfunding campaign is, first, it's really glad to see the response from a very global audience, because you will receive reviews from other people from the other end of the world. Sometimes now we have got few meetings from international partners who are already interested in our product, and sometimes distributors. So we can select the correct niche for our product. And also when we fund a project or a product with Kickstarter or crowdfunding, it's a social proof that people like our product. Or you can provide it to any platform now. If you go and check out good products which have performed well in any crowdfunding platform, they are available in eBay, Amazon. They are specially tagged as funded with Indiegogo, funded with GoFundMe, funded with Kickstarter, like us, which gives the idea that this project is believed by many earlier and many people have bought it. So that's the social proof it provides. It's a very powerful thing, the idea of social proof for a product, especially to go to the other regions. That is why we did this, mainly apart from the now the financial support you can get to to develop a startup is much less compared to the social proof or the reach that we get through a crowdfunding campaign throughout the world. And also we can develop demand for our product, and of course we can get international PR. When we launch our campaign, we remained our position as #1 in the DIY electronics category in Kickstarter platform for like 3-4 days. We managed to keep, be on top of the rankings there. And because of that, we were featured in Hackster, Geeky Gadgets, all these PR agents, all these technical blogs or technical news sites. They featured our product as a new product coming up. Likewise, they featured about MagicBit. So then it will get exposed to other like-minded people as well. So that is why we get the attention now. That is one of the advantages. And also the inventory cost is low because we don't have to produce the devices before customers purchase it. And also it is special in the reward-based format. The inventory cost is low, and also we can raise funds. So that is one of the main advantages. Those are the advantages we can get through crowdfunding. But what are the challenges? Now, when we talk about challenges, we cannot, one of the main hurdles that we had was we cannot launch a crowdfunding campaign from Sri Lanka. Now, because now this mechanism of crowdfunding works on trust. Now, when we think about the idea of crowdfunding, maybe some people can take out the money and get disappeared, right? So That is why it is not allowed in certain parts of the world, and most of these platforms allow only from certain countries to list a project. So what we can do is basically we can link with a very known party or a very trustworthy person for us in a country where we can launch a crowdfunding campaign like Australia, UK, USA, or in Europe. Then we can launch a campaign in partnering with a person in those countries. Now, luckily for us, one of our co-founders currently lives in Australia. Because of that, we had no issue in launching the campaign. But I'm pretty sure that there are so many Sri Lankans in countries like Australia, UK, USA, Canada. So if you can get partnered with any of them, even an individual, you can launch a campaign, because launching a campaign in most of these platforms, it is not required to have a startup or a company registered. You can launch it as an individual as well. So let's say, and also they do not restrict you to partner with somebody and launch the campaign as well. Basically, there are many people or teams from China, they get partnered with people from USA or maybe a person from Australia, and they launch the campaign. And also, one of the other challenges is the competition from the retail market. If there's a product similar to our product in the retail market at a cheaper rate, then people will also revert back to that product, because now every product and everything is just a Google search away. So we should really position our product at competition. And also there is risk from similar projects as well, because we don't know who else around the world is creating projects like ours. So what happens if a similar product launches at the same time on the same crowdfunding platform when we launch? Then the audience will be diverted or maybe compromised, because many of these crowdfunding campaigns, when somebody back my project, his money is not deducted from his credit or debit card until the campaign ends. So during that campaign period, the person has the right to even cancel the pledge and select a different product as well. So that risk is there, because, for example, a couple of days back, there was a person from, I think he was from Germany. So he has purchased earlier, I think around $800 worth of MagicBit products from our Kickstarter campaign. So suddenly he decided to change his mind and cancel the pledge, right? So suddenly there's a huge loss in the campaign. So likewise, people can change their mind as well. So we should be able to keep the good communication. Maybe when they drop out, ask few questions from them without bugging them, and maintaining that PR. That is also challenging. On the other hand, now it's not all about organic reach and everything, because we have to invest certain amounts for our campaign. Because when we think about the videos, images, and the scripts and everything, it has to match a global audience. For example, even for our video in the Kickstarter campaign, we did the voiceover with a person with a US accent. We got through Fiverr. So we have to invest on those things, and we have to watch out for the language that we are using, whether the US audience can understand that, whether it applies to Australia, and likewise. And also there's a promotional cost. When we are conducting the campaign, we have to run social media campaigns, mainly digital media ads. So that comes at a cost. And also one of the other challenges is reaching the goal, because when we set a goal in a crowdfunding campaign, we have to set it where we don't run at a loss mainly. So currently there are many platforms like this. There is Kickstarter, Indiegogo, GoFundMe, Seedinvest, and I think you all of you might be very familiar with Patreon as well. So it's also a crowdfunding sort of a platform. That's why I included it. So if I compare the leading crowdfunding platforms, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, they are the two leaders here. So if you are launching a crowdfunding campaign, the selections that you will have when you are launching a reward-based crowdfunding campaign is whether it's Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So how to take that decision? So we have to think about multiple factors. So basically, the platform fees you see here are the same. For the transaction processing fee is the same. Roughly, we have to give around 8% of all money we raised through the campaign to the platform. So on the other hand, there are different comparisons, basically the availability in different countries, and also the number of unique visits you can see, which is quite higher in Kickstarter. And also there are things like staff reviews, and there are so many things. And this one I got it from internet, and it says Kickstarter is less caring for creators as well, which they have certain policies when interacting with creators. So why we selected Kickstarter? I think one of the main reasons we selected Kickstarter is now it is the biggest crowdfunding platform in the internet. So basically it has funded over 6 billion USD for projects like for over 200,000 projects, and they have an active backer community around 20 million. So basically we can even if we pitch a product in any area, we can find a very niche community in Kickstarter, and we also look for past performance in our area, which is electronics and innovation, IoT, this kind of thing. You can check out the Kickstarter stats on their platform as well. So the process is to, so if I elaborate the process that we have to go through, it's all about doing research, doing the pre-campaign work correctly, doing the campaign correctly, and deliver the deliverables after campaign. So these are the 4 main phases that we have to go through, or anyone has to go. So during the research phase, we have to find our target area, we have to design our product, we have to study similar products and identify what is our unique selling point. We have to develop the prototypes and finish that, and we have to think about how we are going to manufacture it at a mass scale when we get backers, whether it's scalable, or when we scale it up, whether we can have the price margins sustained, and also the logistics. So how we can send the product to other countries, whether it applies to certain regulations, likewise. So we have to do that. Research part takes a lot of time, and we have to do it very objectively as well. So doing it very objectively, I mean, now I took this screenshot from one of my many Excels that I have during the data crunching phase, because we collected so much of data about similar campaigns, similar products. So how they have done, what are the pricing methods that they have done, how much amount they have raised, what are the successful products, what are the failed products, why those products failed, and which margin they failed. Likewise, we studied the projects by numbers. So this is one of the advices that we received from one of our good advisors for our project, who is Mr. Eranda Ginke. He's a social entrepreneur in Sri Lanka. So he always advises us to be very objective about this decision making, because we cannot take a decision about going global or competing with other products, the gut feeling itself. We have to do the number crunching, we have to study others and come up with our model to compete with those. So that is how the research phase. And during the campaign phase, we have to design quality content, and we have to demonstrate details, usability, uniqueness, and also social proof there as well. Because when we launched MagicBit campaign, we have around 400 users in Sri Lanka for MagicBit, which is mainly in institute. So that was a social proof. We demonstrated that there in our campaign as well, which gives the confidence for people who are backing our project. Okay, this thing is working and they have already manufactured it, so I will definitely get my product. And also I think getting expert advisors, as I mentioned, like Eranda, and also I think there are many, I cannot say all the name list, but there are many people who have supported us for this campaign, especially some industry leaders, some opinion leaders, and also people from the media industry. So when we what we did was, sometimes we cannot afford to pay them by money, so we offered them the idea. We have this idea of taking a Sri Lankan innovation to the world. Please give us an advice, give us an honest review about our project and check out this video. Give us a review about this and just give us a small support. So likewise, we pitched the idea to them and got their support, and it was really helpful, especially when we reach out to other regions. We have to think about certain factors like what they will understand, their mentality, and without not too much highlighting that certain things likewise. So and also we have to get support from others, and also pre-campaign we have to always do surveys, A/B testing, those kind of things to identify what is the best method or what is the best content, what is the best wording, what is the best tagline. So all these things have to be really objective rather than deciding ourselves that we know the best. So it always should be based on surveys, A/B testing likewise. And also I think one of the main time consuming things is to learn or reach out to other people, because I think it's quite hard to learn about these things by just reading things or listening to videos. So what we did was we subscribed to many international content providers or people who are doing expert advisors, and most of them have free sessions, like talk to them, get a free review, or maybe says sometimes they realize that okay, this is a very small startup, these guys are doing a very good project. Sometimes honestly, when they fall in love with our project, they share their free time and sometimes their free content with us, and support for our project without any financial gain as well. We received such support from many, and there are very good sessions conducted by certain organizations weekly or monthly, and we constantly participated for sessions like this during a period about 10 to 12 months, where we gained a lot of knowledge. And also we partnered with many international organizations. We wrote to everyone that we worked throughout this time and asked them to support for our campaign, and some of them replied to us, some of them supported our campaign. So basically when we launched the campaign, they boost our project through their social media platforms, through their digital channels. Some of them, some of these companies have paid YouTube influencers, and they ask those influencers to review our project likewise. There's a lot of help that we can get when we reach out to other people, partner with people. So the idea of crowdfunding is always to get the network proper and reach out to other people. So I think that is what we did, and that is how we got all these partners, and they are really so. One thing common is all of them really loved our project, and they all thought that it's a really good innovative project, and that's why they supported, and that is why where we share similar mentality as well. So basically if you want to run a campaign, you have to have the campaign material ready, story, images, videos, bank account, and everything, partnered with the person in a country where you can launch a campaign and get your campaign accept, and do a pre-campaign page and run ads, collect the leads, and get people ready for your launch. Then launch the campaign, and during the first day, if you manage to reach 30% of your goal, then your campaign will be on top of the crowdfunding platform for like few days, and that gives you a good boost from the incoming traffic in the site. And this is how we reached around $8,000 during the first day. Of course, during the other days, it will go down. So we call it mid-campaign sum. And but again, at the end of the campaign, it will go up. Basically, there are international firms who are doing all these professional promotional work for Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaigns. They are like Jello, Launch Studio, Launch Boom. All these are very good companies. During our campaign, we had the opportunity to work with one of the leading firms like this, which is Jelop. They have done campaigns which ran millions. So it was a great opportunity. And post campaign, what we have to do is do the communication and deliver our deliverables time. So those are our objectives. And also to manage the fulfillment also, there are certain platforms and all these platforms take a portion out of our funds raised. So basically, any fulfillment platform also will take a small portion of our money for their part. If I tell you a few examples, I highly encourage you to watch this video about Cooler. So it is one of the very successful campaigns. They raised over 13 million on Kickstarter. And this is a project that I really love as a creator. Is Terra Planta. It's a clay pot redesigned in an innovative manner. So they raised over $6 million US, and it was one of the hit projects, and I really love that project. And there are so many projects like this which have raised billions of dollars. And this is the most funded project of all time, which is the Pebble Watch. This is the most funded project on any crowdfunding platform. You can see the amount that they have raised. So this basically became a business after that. And I think some of you, if you are in board games and everything, you might have seen the game Exploding Kittens. It also came from Kickstarter, which is also a crowdfunded project. So there are thousands of projects like this which are funded and then became a global business. And it's not all about success. There are failed projects as well. Even after funding like this small drone, where they raised $2 million US, but they couldn't manufacture it. Again, this Razer, and now I was personally interested in this project after, back in the days. But honestly, what happened was they were developing. They have done a prototype, but they were not able to mass manufacture it. So that also failed. So there are failures like this. And so then I'll move on to our campaign and end the session. So it's all about, this is our campaign performance, and you can see we got a lot of support from Sri Lankans all over the world, and we got the majority of our backers are from Sri Lanka, and then we have from USA, Australia, UK, Canada, Germany. There are people all around the world, which matters us a lot when we reach out to other regions. And this is our ranking overall in Kickstarter. You can see there's our 400,000 odd campaigns, and we are ranked 29,000 something. And this is our ranking during the campaign in our subcategory DIY electronics. We maintained our position in the topmost position for like about 1 week, which was quite sufficient. Even now, if you go to Kickstarter and search in the DIY electronics category, we are in the number 2 position. So up to now, I took this screenshot this morning. So we have raised around 35,000 US dollars, which is equal to around 26,000. This is Australian dollars, 35,000, which is equal to 26,000 US dollars. So I highly encourage you to check our Magic Kickstarter campaign page as well. So all that took us around 12 months to get prepared and launch and come to this level. Reach out to other people, study all this, and doing all that work took us around 12 months to come up with this plan. And if you are interested in this, I highly encourage you to check out Kickstarter Creators Guide, which is really good. It's about 60 to 70 pages. And there are good sites like CrowdX and Launchboot, Launch Studio, and YouTube, podcast, Clubhouse. All of them have resources related to crowdfunding. And that's it. Thank you, everyone. We can move on to the questions Q&A session. And I highly encourage you all to check out our Kickstarter campaign on Kickstarter.com and search for MagicBit. Create your first IoT project in 10 minutes. I will post it in the chat as well. So you can check out our project and support our project. And even if you don't buy a product, just watch the video and go through the site, because even if you play the video there, that helps us to rank our project in the platform rankings. So that's it. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, ICTA, for this opportunity. I think we can move on to the Q&A session.
Thank you, Nigara. I think this Ask Me Anything session. I think you have told everything that is also needed to know. And thank you for preparing for this in a very detailed manner so that you don't leave out anything. You've gone through the entire story of how you started. And for those who thought Migara got up one day in the morning and I thought I'll do a Kickstarter campaign, so that's not the actual deal. And it takes a process. And thank you for sharing all that without keeping anything for us to really dwell on. So I'm sure you would have questions, curious questions that would come up. Please raise your hand and I will call you on. The raise hand option is under reactions. You can voice it out or you can put it on the chat thread. There is one question on the chat thread and start with that. This is about Kickstarter, Migara. All right, so you've already shared it, I think. And the question is about can the projects for the successful project may be listed or which are listed on Kickstarter be seen? Is that what you're asking, Realfree, or you want to ask? Want to sound it out? Can we view the project list?
Yes. Can we see the project which are achieved on Kickstarter?
Yes, actually, on Kickstarter, you can see what are the most funded projects. They have a certain leaderboard for that as well, and you can filter out what are the funded projects, unsuccessful projects, and even you can filter out from the category as well, like technology or design, fashion designing, or maybe film, documentary. You can filter out from any of those filters.
Okay, thank you for that question. So Nipuna is asking what is the budget that you spent on the campaign, if it can be revealed or maybe a ballpark.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, initially we went, we relied mainly on the networking factor because we reach out to so many parties for our first 2 days launch. We basically for the first couple of days we didn't invest any money. That was our plan. And we were able to reach around 200,000 or maybe that is around 10,000 US dollars without any investment. But that is by reaching out to so many parties. But again, after that point, to reach to 20,000, 25,000, we have to invest money. And by investing money, I mean to digital marketing, social media marketing, likewise. So basically, when we invest in social media marketing, we have to optimize our campaigns. And when we run maybe around $50 or $100, basically what we were expecting is around to break in our project, to break even, we have to earn around 4x or 5x from the budget that we invest for social media, because we have to pay for the platforms and we have to pay for everyone. So when we invest money for digital marketing campaigns, we have to, we had a budget around $2,000, and with that $2,000, we managed to reach around 20,000 US dollars worth of funds.
Okay, thank you for the question. So Isuru is asking, were there instances where crowdfunders have approached you to further support or collaborate?
Yes. Now, one of the good things about crowdfunding is we can collaborate with others, or maybe we call it cross promotions, where we can get together with other creators who are running campaigns parallelly with us, and both parties are not in conflict of interest. We can collaborate with them and ask them to share our campaign, and we can share their campaign. So we did a couple of things like that as well. So basically, our project will be revealed to their backers, and their project will be revealed to our backers, and it works well as well. It works very well, and it is available in any of the crowdfunding platforms.
Thank you for that. So if you have further questions which are follow-ups from those who already asked, please you can raise your hand or put it on the chat thread. So one more question. I'm from Abit. So what is your current growth like for MagicBit? maybe I can add a follow-up question. So what's next for you in this whole journey of Kickstarter?
Yeah, so what we are going to do next is, now as I mentioned in my presentation, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, these platforms are the biggest crowdfunding platforms out there. So we initially had the idea of putting our product in eBay or Amazon or any e-commerce site. But before going there, we thought of doing this crowdfunding campaign to develop the community. So our journey would be, now when our Kickstarter campaign ends by 20 August, we are going until the time we start the fulfillment at the end of September. Another month, we'll be running a campaign on Indiegogo. So basically, we can migrate our successful campaign from Kickstarter to Indiegogo and have an in-demand program there. So they have a in-demand version as well in the Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign, Indiegogo crowdfunding platform. So basically, we are going to, until we fulfill our, when our campaign ends, then until we fulfill, others can buy through that crowdfunding platform called Indiegogo. Then afterwards, what we are going to do is make it available to any other e-commerce site available starting from the month of November this year. We are going to make it available through eBay, Amazon, and through our website. So basically, it will be available anywhere in the internet.
Thank you. So two more questions coming in from, sorry, I don't see the person's name, but if it's a recreation of a certain product, does it still get rejected by the community? And there's a follow-up to it. What if the product failed previously? So if it's a similar product being put on crowdfunding platform, which is there earlier, would it get rejected even if it has failed earlier?
No, I think if there's a similar product or a product of the same kind, they do not reject actually. So one of the main factors that they are looking for is whether it's a unique product, an innovative new product. On the other hand, whether it's currently available in the market. So basically, they want products which are not available in the market. So it could be an existing product, a value addition to an existing product as well. So that could be considered as a new product. So they do not reject based on that, based on the fact that there's a failed campaign earlier of a similar kind of a product. So that does not happen.
Thanks, Mukan. So you mentioned a few companies who supports those who launch campaigns on crowdfunding platforms. You mentioned Jellup. So there's a question by Nipun again. What was the involvement and assistance given by them, and did they charge?
Yeah, so basically, most of these now when we now launching a crowdfunding campaign also is kind of a new business, has now become a good business model. So what happens is some of the companies that I mentioned, like Launchboom, they only deals with a startup or a creator if they have an advertising budget of $25,000 upwards. So they do not deal with anyone who have budgets less than $25,000 for advertising. So basically, they are targeting the big bucks, and they have minimum promise of performing the campaign to $100,000 US. But the thing is, the company who are doing most of the projects or most of the successful projects in the crowdfunding platform called Kickstarter is an Israeli firm called Jellup. So they are the most popular choice, and they are very picky as well who they are going to work with. And we had a couple of meetings with them, and we have to pitch our idea to them even to get their support. So basically, they are not willing to work with anybody who are paying with them, because their model also work in a very transparent way. Because when we work with Jellup for a few days actually during our mid-campaign period. So when we work with Jellup, how their process is amazing actually. Basically, what they are asking is, they are asking to spend for the advertising only. So let's say we want to boost, run an advertising campaign on Facebook for $500, we have to spend only the $500. So how they charge from us is from the pledges that we receive through that campaign. So they are they are doing the designing that they have the target audiences, they set the campaigns, they do everything, and the traffic that they get through the campaigns that they are running, they are monitoring them, and they give us a dashboard. So basically, at any moment we can see how many ads they have run, how much of our money they have spent for advertising, and how much and what is the amount that we raised through their advertisements. And what they are charging is around 80% to 22% from the amounts raised through their advertisements. So basically, they do not charge any upfront fee. They don't have any hidden fees. So what they charge is a percentage from the sales that we received through their advertising. So that is their charge. So basically, they have a minimum commitment for advertising around $400. We can start from $400 and go upwards. So actually, they have a good customer base, and they have newsletters, they have different websites, Facebook groups, and everything. So that is their charge and how it works.
Thank you, and that addressed the question of what is the pricing model. Nipuna, I think that answered your question on that. So last question from Relfi. Through crowdfunding, are they giving advance order or are they investing? I think was answered by you, Mikar. Maybe if you want to reiterate that particular slide which you mentioned, the different models of crowdfunding. You mentioned one was equity and the rest of it. So does the platforms that you mentioned also have equity models as well, or is it on specific models only?
So basically, the site that I mentioned here that we are running, which is Kickstarter, and Kickstarter and Indiegogo, the most popular two platforms in the internet are reward-based crowdfunding platforms. And the other type that he is asking is equity-based crowdfunding, where basically you will be giving a portion of your company or raising funds to scale up your startup or the company. So that can be done. There are different platforms for that as well, for equity-based crowdfunding. And Kickstarter or Indiegogo, they only allow reward-based crowdfunding. You cannot raise money for equity. You cannot raise money for donations on those platforms.
Also, Roshan has raised his hand. Roshan, you want to shoot?
Yeah, hi, Sajinda. So a quick comment and a plug of our platform if Sachin would allow it. So congratulations, Migar, a fantastic achievement. I mean, you guys have done very well in your crowdfunding campaign. So a bit about us. So we are Tribe Funds, which is a local crowdfunding platform. So any of you out there who wishes to use the site for your individual projects to raise funds, you're more than welcome to try us out. Some of the issues and challenges that Migara mentioned in terms of getting the money into the country, needing an Australian contact, all those things you don't need with us. So through DirectPay, we have access to an international payment gateway. And also, if you listen to Mikara's talk, he was saying that there's a lot of procedures involved. So those are the kind of things we kind of coach potential campaign owners on. We work with you to tailor make your campaign, what areas to focus on, and then launch it. So I'm happy to share more details of our platform. It's called tribefunds.lk. Thanks.
Thanks, Roshan. Maybe you can put the URL on the chat thread if anyone wants to reach out to Tribe Funds, and maybe your contact details as well.
Sure.
So one of the questions on our chat thread that we were going to ask was, is there a local crowdfunding platform? So
yes,
that was answered. Okay. So one more question to Mikara. Yeah, I guess Anuruddha has kind of answered it, but I'll just ask it. When we get the pledge money after, so he's asking, when do you get the money after it's pledged or being backed? how does the money flow take place when a campaign is closed?
So basically, when a person pre-purchase a product through our campaign, the money will be deducted from the credit or debit card at the end of the campaign, but not before that. Once it is deducted from the backer, creators of the project. So in the case of MagicBit, we will receive the funds after 2 to 3 weeks after our campaign ends. They will process it and they will hold their portion of the, so let's say Kickstarter, they will hold around 5% for them, and there will be a transaction fee around 3%, and it will send us the balance amount to the bank account details that we have mentioned when we are registering. And then afterwards we can proceed with the manufacturing of our products. So basically we provide the timeline for the backers, counting all these periods that we have to go through. And we are now in our project, we have given the delivery time as starting from month of mid-October. So basically we will get the funds by month of September, and we will be starting to manufacture our products in month of September and start the shipping by month of October.
So on that same note, what would be the instances that a campaign might fail? You mentioned a few points, but just to summarize it, what are the instances?
So one of the main reasons is, now even in our campaign, we saw that majority of the buyers from other countries, they come through these platforms. Or most of them have backed other projects, so they like this kind of innovative new projects. So one of the main reasons for the failure is when a backer or a person check out our project through the platform, they don't have trust in our product that we will deliver, or that we do have the details or the usability that we are mentioning in our video, in our images. Or sometimes when we don't have very good images about how we are using it and what are the features available, what are our unique selling points. So basically when somebody gets the idea that, okay, I can get this something like this from eBay at a much cheaper rate, then nobody is going to buy that. So basically it should be a very exclusive product at a very exclusive price, which makes it very attractive to a person who is coming to this platform. Or when we even advertise on Facebook, when somebody sees a very attractive new product which they don't see anywhere at a very affordable or a very good rate or a discounted rate, they will definitely buy that. So that's the idea actually. Now most of these, when we study the failed campaigns, what we observed was most of them either don't have the necessary details, or maybe they don't have any users right now, and they don't have any social proof. Like let's say the creator has done a very a person who's doing a documentary, or a person who's trying to do a film, but he hasn't done any film or a documentary or even studied about that. So then people don't have confidence in that. Basically it's like telling a story. Now the story that we were also pitching, like we are from a technical background, but the passion that we also shared was that we want to take this idea about technical innovation, about technology, to the community. So then you can be a part of that by getting one of our products as one of the early adopters. So it's all about telling a story from your heart, which should be very honest and which should be genuine. So then I think and it should be very unique, so anybody would be ready to support you. I think that's about it, being very honest, very creative as well as genuine when doing things in crowdfunding.
Okay, I'll take one or two questions. It's already on the screen. So again, Nipuna is asking, hopefully Nipuna and Rilfi, I would like to see your projects going up very soon, and I like your eagerness. So what they're asking is, if you are not able to deliver, you mentioned about the manufacturing part of it. If you're not able to deliver, what happens? That do you have to refund the money that you got during those 2-3 weeks? How does it happen?
So honestly, Sachindra, there's no mechanism in any of these crowdfunding platforms. Once we receive the funds, there's no way they can get their money back. So what will happen is, but when we are listing a crowdfunding projects, basically we are putting our personal profiles there. We are advertising these are the creators of the project and this is the project that we are doing and all that. So what will happen is, now if you check out any of the campaigns who have failed to deliver, what has happened is, I think the creators of that project will cannot go anywhere on earth. Basically what will happen is internet will explode when a project is failed on internet, on Kickstarter or on Indiegogo, in any crowdfunding platform. Then people will mention that, they will mention the creators and and on the other hand, those creators will not be able to list any project in any of the crowdfunding platforms again. So that's why I mentioned it's all about honesty, being truthful for the backers, and sharing a genuine need or one of your passions with an audience. Now, for example, now it should not be a completely out of the box thing to go viral in projects like this, because I remember there was a project about a couple of years back. To a guy just had a post that I'm going to make a potato salad. You can support me with $1. You can check out that project on Kickstarter, which is $1. It was really fun, and that project raised more than 50,000 US just to make a potato salad. So people are putting money just without expecting anything. So basically, what this guy did was he put up a party, so anyone around the earth can come to that potato salad party. Likewise, so it's not all about, sometimes when they get money, if you cannot deliver it. So I have seen some creators, when they cannot deliver to a certain deadline, they send personal written notes to their backers saying that this will be delayed another 3 months or 4 months, and I will try to deliver it by October or November. Likewise, and sometimes they get funding from outside to deliver that. So actually, from a business standpoint, nothing will happen, or you will not get a lawsuit if you don't deliver a crowdfunding project or the deliverables. But again, I think it's all about being honest and doing something.
Yeah, that's very important advice. So some of the questions that Rilfi asking, I think, can be answered if Migar at some point would like to share his slides somewhere, or maybe you can write to Migar. Migar can give his email on some of the things that you covered on the slide deck itself. Does anyone want to ask the last question through either the chat, or you can raise your hand? Thanks. By the way, don't try out the potato salad one on tribe funds, Sri Lankans, with Sri Lankans. And we got to mention that your backers were mostly American, right? US based, highest percentage of US based.
Yes. Most of the backers are from, now for any project, most of the backers are from USA, Germany, UK, and I think there are backers from Asian countries. There are backers from countries like Hong Kong, Singapore, and most of the backers are actually from US, Canada, from the West.
Yeah, and even though you launched in Australia, Australia is not the highest number. It's always mostly the US in a lot of projects.
Yes.
So maybe one last question from me. What if you don't fulfill your goal? You mentioned that setting this goal is really important. And what if you don't fulfill that goal? What happens?
So basically, in Kickstarter, if we don't reach out to the goal, we don't get any funds, basically. So what will happen is, all the backers will get their money back and the creators will get nothing. But if we list a project in certain other platforms like Indiegogo or GoFundMe, we can set a goal, but even if we don't reach that goal, we can get the money. We can set the project like that in certain platforms. That is a condition that they are in Kickstarter, where if we don't, it's like all or nothing.
So how do you set a realistic goal?
So basically, what we have to, how we have to decide a goal is, we have to decide how many devices that we are going to give away using this one, and what is the offer price that we are going to give, and how much is the money that we are going to invest for marketing, and taking all, and what is the platform fee, transaction fees, and taking account all the cost factors of our campaign. We have to determine what is the break-even point of the point of a campaign, because even let's say we reach our goal and our campaign just stopped there, then we cannot run at a loss. So basically, it's the break. I think the break-even point is the best place to select as the goal, because when we launch a campaign, we can even set $500 or $1,000 as the campaign goal, but it doesn't work that way. But what happens is, if you set a too low goal, others will see that okay, this guy is trying to get his goal fulfilled very quickly. Or if you set a too high goal, people will think that this guy have no idea what he's trying to do, or the cost factor. So I think the optimum goal would be the break-even point of our project.
Great. So guys, the Kickstarter campaign is still running. It's ending, you mentioned 20th August?
Yes. So our campaign will run until 26th August, 7 p.m. in Sri Lankan time. I'll post our campaign again in the chat box. So anybody can visit our project, or they can simply go to Kickstarter and search MagicBit. They can find our campaign.
Great. So the URLs on the chat thread. You can go visit it. You can check what kind of rewards have been given, the different packages they are giving. So many different packages that's been offered. And most of all, you can go back it.
Sorry for disturbing. We have a special reward only shipping for Sri Lanka, which is at the lowest rate right now. So we are giving that to Sri Lankans, the lowest rate to which is available to anyone.
Great. And I hope that's incentive enough for you to visit it and also back it. Now you've heard it, heard the success of what MagicBit has done. People have congratulated. Now just go put your money where your mouth is and go back it. So for both those questions which came from Nipuna and Rilfi, Migara has been kind enough to put his number, share his number and email to speak to him. And I hope that you would get your Kickstarter campaigns or whichever crowdfunding campaigns out there. And Roshan mentioned about tribe funds as well in Sri Lanka. And let's and see how that do. All the best to you. And Migara, thank you very much once again for spending this time. It's 7:15 right on the dot. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you for that wonderful presentation and what you shared and answering all these questions and sharing your details for others as well. We are, as Sri Lanka, we are very proud of you. And as Spiralation, we are even more proud of you. So thank you once again. And those who joined, I hope this was a time spent productively for you, 1 hour and 50 minutes. And hope you would take inspiration from Migara and from the MagicBit team. Aniruddha is also here, and do build something on your own and get it funded and take Sri Lankan name, Sri Lankan brands to the world. Thank you very much. And closing off and having a pleasant evening. Have a pleasant evening.
Thanks all. Thank you, Sachin. Good night, everyone.